Hello, it's me, French Ted, and we are back for episode number 16, I believe, and we are in July. Yep, flying by this is. Well, for me it is. For you guys, it's a little bit more spaced out. But we are in July. Summer is here. That's when summer starts, right? I ain't got a clue, to be honest. It gets hot around July, that's all I know. And we are here for AEW Dynamite, our first show since Forbidden Door, which was a relatively good show, to be honest. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. The biggest story, in my opinion, coming out of, well, the two biggest stories actually coming out of Forbidden Door was Jon Moxley answering Bryan Danielson's open challenge. So clearly he wanted to get some shit off of his chest in the form of a fight. And also MJF defeating Will Ospreay and retaining the AEW World Championship. I'm sure those are going to get addressed in the coming shows, weeks, etc. And also, just to let you guys know, there will be a bumper episode in 2 episodes time. So not this one, not the next one, the one after that, because we have confirmation that Battle of the Belts is returning and it will be occurring week 3, July, Friday. So that will be in between our Dynamite and Collision shows. So Battle of the Belts, as you know, will be title only matches. So very, very exciting. We love a title match. But yeah, let's stop waffling and chatting shit. Let's take a look at what these backstage incidents are. And of course, it's QT Marshall passing on a few more of his tips to Preston Vance with psychology. Heading to the venues, we are in the tri-state area today, and it is the Santander Arena. I'm assuming that's named after the bank. If not, it could be the Santander. Who knows? Either way, we're there. So yeah, let's head straight into AEW Dynamite. And we open Dynamite with a pre-show match that had decent wrestling, but not much heat, where the very strange team of Tay Mello and Tony Storm defeats Riho and Yuka Sakazaki in 13 minutes when Tay Mello pins Yuka with the Tayagoshi. So Tay Mello using her jiu-jitsu background, because that sounds very much like a jiu-jitsu move. 59 rated match, not bad. Looking at the performances, everyone around the mid to high 50s, so nice. This is what we want to see. Mid to high 50s at the minimum, or low 50s at the minimum, and I'm happy. Women's division still needs a lot of work, but I imagine people's skills will get better as we go. So yeah. Moving on, we've got our next pre-show match, which is Bandido taking on Dralistico. So in a pre-show match that had decent wrestling and again not much heat, Bandido defeats Dralistico in 10:55 with the Revolution Fly, and that got a 61. Very nice. Bandido with a 67 and Dralistico with a 46, and he's also getting better at his gimmick, whatever that may be. Awesome. Let's keep moving on. And this is the final pre-show segment, you could say, where there is an announcement that Bryan Danielson will be taking on Jon Moxley tonight. Moxley has himself requested a rematch that Tony Khan and Bryan Danielson have approved. So our main event for this evening will be a Forbidden Door rematch. Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley. So clearly even more unfinished business within the Blackpool Combat Club. Yeah, should be interesting. But I believe this takes us into the main show. Yes, it does. And an opening match between Adam Page and Blake Christian. So an bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Adam Page defeats Blake Christian in 16 minutes with the Deadeye. 71 rated match, very good. Adam Page with a 75 and Blake Christian with the 58. Not the best, but he's getting there. He's getting there, my boy. Adam Page though, great. I feel like he's mad. Like, Adam Page is a weird one because in my eyes he's like not a top star, but he gets the reactions and the match qualities of a top star. It's weird. Maybe I just have to give in to the Hangman effect, but we'll see. Following this match, Adam Page is celebrating and Bandido comes out. If you remember last week, I believe Bandido and Adam Page had one hell of a match between each other. So there seems to be a little bit of mutual respect between these guys, and Bandito just comes out and just kind of nods to Page, as in like, great match, good job. Adam Page obviously a little bit confused, but kind of just focusing on celebrating towards the crowd. So 78 rated segment in that one, very nice. I wonder what Bandito has planned for this. We'll have to wait and see. Following this though, we go backstage to speak with Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Combat Club. Renee manages to get hold of them without Moxley or Danielson around and just says, guys, clearly there are some issues within Blackpool Combat Club. It looks like John Moxley is taking real offense to what Brian is doing. How do you guys feel about this? You guys are also members of the Blackpool Combat Club. Like, where do you sit? And Claudio kind of is just like, we'd rather not say how we feel. It's an issue between Brian and John, your husband, Renee. So we're definitely not saying anything to you. And Claudio and Wheeler kind of just walk off. So we don't really know what's going on between what's going on in the head of Claudio and Wheeler. And in my opinion, it's probably best they do stay out of it, because both John Moxley and Bryan Danielson are very big stars with both huge egos and experience, and just let them fight it out. I'm sure they'll sort it out themselves. So good thinking, Claudio, and Wheeler's kind of just following behind. We do return to the ring now with a pretty random match or segment. Jake Roberts comes out with Lance Archer, someone that we haven't seen a great deal of, and he basically just says that Archer can't be stopped. AEW are afraid to put him in matches week in, week out, because he'll just destroy any talent that goes ahead of him. So anyone want to come out? Let's do it. And Brody King of House of Black decides to come out, and flex his weight. And in a decent match, Lance Archer goes over Brody King with the blackout. So this one, I imagine, was just an all-out slugfest. Just two big men battering each other. And Lance Archer gets the win with a 65 rating himself, and Brody King with a 60 and a 64 overall. So not bad at all. We do stay in the ring for the following match, which is some tag team action. It's not tag team action. I got it wrong. Well, fuck me. It's actually our AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida is coming out, having a non-title match against Billy Starks. And unfortunately for Billy Starks, Hikaru Shida is kind of toying with her prey, kind of refusing to pin Billy, kind of knocking her around a bit, and then being like 1, 2, and lifts Billy's shoulders up. Billy doesn't deserve this. It's just Hikaru flexing her shit, I guess. But finally, in 11 minutes, she defeats Billy Starks with the Falcon Arrow. Hikaru Shida with a 60, Billy with a 41, and of course Britt Baker is ringside, as she is with her partner, you could say, Hikaru Shida. This got a 61 rated segment, which is pretty good for a match involving Billy Starks. No offense to her, she's a great talent in real life, but the game is based on numbers. And following this, Britt gets into the ring, grabs the mic, and her and Shida just kind of hit a promo on Jamie Hayter, just being like, turns out you weren't the muscle after all, because if you guys know, previously I think Jamie Hayter kind of joined forces with Britt to kind of be the muscle of the group. But she's like, no one's as dangerous as Hikaru, and you found that out the hard way, so you best stay out of our way, Jamie, otherwise a world of pain is coming your way. 77 rate segment, pretty good. Britt Baker's very good on the mic, and Hikaru Shida is a bit of a menace, so they make a pretty good pair. She's got the out-ring talent, she's got the in-ring talent. Match made in heaven, I guess. Let's see if we go to some tag team action now. We do. Hey. So in a decent match, coming off their loss against the Super Elite, Los Ingobernables, as they call themselves now. When there's more of them, then they are La Facción Ingobernables. They defeat the Hardys in 12 minutes with the Brillante Driver. Rush with a 67, Andrade with a 72, very good, and Jeff and Matt, who cares? 6-9 rated segment, nice. they just get a little bit more momentum and steam behind Andrade and Roosh, because I really like this pairing, and I'm hoping that they can do some magical things in the future. Following this match, we've got some singles action. Paige Van Zandt is back with another singles match and another very convincing win. She defeats Trish Adora, who I think makes her main show debut, so welcome Trish, in 7:51 by submission. Paige Van Zandt had a 41, Trish had a 48, better, and she also benefits from a groundswell of public support. And as you can also see, Chris Jericho did some good work at ringside, so it seems like Paige and Jericho have some kind of thing going on. Obviously not a romantic thing, Chris is happily married, but some kind of professional thing going on. 49 rated match, and post-match Jericho runs into the ring with Jake Hager, who is also there, but he wasn't worth mentioning. They kind of celebrate with Paige. They raise her hand in victory, and Chris Jericho grabs the mic and says, "Let's hear it for Paige, everyone." Like, what a result, what a woman, what an athlete. And he just feels the need to share to everyone that, like, look, I know you guys are asking, you're concerned, I hear the rumblings backstage. No, we are not. I'm not building a new appreciation society. I'm not building a new inner circle. I'm not building anything like that. It's just Jericho and his friends. And he kind of drops the mic and celebrates with Jake Hager and Paige Van Zandt. So, do we believe Jericho? Are they all just mates, or is he secretly trying to build another unit around him, as he's done many, many times throughout his AEW career? But so far, off to a pretty good start, especially in the women's department. Paige seems to be unbeatable right now. So yeah, great stuff. 88 rated segment as well. It's Jericho on a mic, so what do you expect? Following this match, I think it's our main event already. I might be wrong, because I've been wrong already, but let's take a look. And it is. So in an exceptional match, Jon Moxley gets one over on Bryan Danielson. Happens way too much, honestly. There needs to be like a counter every time I say Daniel Bryan, because I'm a fool. But Jon Moxley defeats Bryan Danielson in 23 minutes with the Bulldog choke. So in this match, Bryan doesn't actually tap. He's just incapacitated by the Bulldog choke. During this match as well, we also had Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta run in and attack Bryan Danielson. So earlier they said they weren't going to get involved and they weren't going to pick sides, but it seems like they definitely have picked sides. Bryan Danielson with an 89 and Jon Moxley with an 82. Look at that. You love to see it. And the storylines advance and gain heat. Moxley did take a stunt bump during this match, so yeah, this must have been one hell of a match between these two. But that's not it. You know what the Combat Club are like. Do you wish to continue? Yeah. And in a segment post-match, Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler beating on Bryan Danielson. I'm saying it wrong now, aren't I? God, Bryan Danielson. Moxley grabs the mic and just says, "The Combat Club is mine, and you're out." And then he just throws the mic at Bryan, who's on the floor, licking many, many wounds. And for all of you eagle-eyed humans out there, and non-humans, I don't know if you're watching, but Moxley has called this the Combat Club, not the Blackpool Combat Club. So not too sure if he's rebranding the team. That will have to be confirmed at a later stage, I guess. But it seems like he's simply referring it to the Combat Club. So I guess the respect for William Regal, who created this group, has gone out the window as well. That might have been a Bryan Danielson thing too. But that does end our show. So it seems like Bryan Danielson is out of the Blackpool Combat Club, the Combat Club, whatever it's called. And yeah, that ends our show. What's going to happen next between these guys? An MJF-less show as well. Oh, I miss him. But it's okay, guys. He'll be at Collision. We do head to some post-match post-show segments now. So these are online Twitter blah blah blahs, and it's Christian. He's just come out of a meeting with Tony Khan, and he has now can confirm that he has officially recognized. He's reached an agreement with Tony Khan. The FTW World Title is officially recognized as a belt within AEW now. Christian Cage is still the owner. However, the rights to the belt belong to and within AEW. He's also said that the rules of the stipulation, or the rules that Christian has made regarding needing to beat Luchasaurus in order to have a title match, still stands. It's been written down, it's been signed, so it's official. Those are the terms that wrestlers must meet if they want to have a FTW world title match with Christian. So he kind of just addresses that all and just says, it's now an official thing, guys. So whenever anyone wants to step up and challenge, they need to go through the Luchasaurus. And Luchasaurus has obviously stood there, breathing heavily, flexing his muscles. Yeah, 76, decent, but it doesn't count towards the show because the show's finished. Let's see how we did. A 79, nice. Increased our popularity everywhere except these silly regions because we've got no viewers. But yeah, very good show. Very happy with this. Hot off the tails of Forbidden Door. We got a few interesting things advancing. Obviously, Baker and Shida basically telling Hayter not to bother. Paige Van Zandt seems to be on a great streak right now. Jericho, he's definitely building something. You don't capitalize and friends for nothing. And yeah, the biggest news coming out of this is Bryan Danielson kicked out of the Combat Club, as John Moxley now calls it. Yeah, awesome, great show. Let's jump straight into AEW Collision. I will see you guys there. And we are back. We are here for AEW Collision. Same place, I believe. Yep, the Santander Arena. And following this is, I don't know what I'm saying, AEW Collision. It's late. It's 11 o'clock at night. Oh, a long day of work. But we will power through because we've got one hell of an exciting show ahead of us. But first, as always, the backstage incidents. And it is, a spoiler. Great. Surprise. We signed Sami Zayn, but obviously we cannot use Sami Zayn's name, so we're using his real name, which is Remy Sabai. Yeah, he was brought to wrestler court already for failing to pick up the share of the tab on the rental car. Not a good start, my dude. You don't want to be in Sting's bad books. That's really annoyed me. But I could cut this out, but I'm not going to because it's kind of funny. So yeah, get ready for a surprise debut, guys. Let's head straight into the show. Okay, and we are in the pre-show, and it's a terrible match. What a surprise. Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue defeat the Renegade Twins in 8 minutes when Willow pins Charlotte Renegade with the Fisherman's Suplex. 42 rated match. Willow and Sky have awful chemistry, so they will never be teaming again. Willow with a 42, Sky with a 32. Damn. And Robin and Charlotte, high 30s, 40. Nice. Let's jump through to our second and final pre-show match, which is Roderick Strong against Buddy Matthews. And Buddy Matthews gets the win with the Murphy's Law. 63 rated match. That's pretty good. Roderick Strong with a 65. Nice. And Buddy with a 58. Cool. But before we jump into the main show, we do have an announcement. FTR have requested that their title rematch is right now because they were screwed out of a stupid stipulation, and they want to face the Lucha Brothers 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, you could say. So that is announced as our main event for tonight. Lucha Brothers defending their World Tag Team Championships straight away against the former champions FTR. But that's the main event. Let's see how we open the show. And who else other than Maxwell Jacob Friedman, hot off of his clean win. His 91, I think it was 91 performance at Collision. He's definitely proving all of those doubters wrong. He just comes out smug as ever. Honestly, he's on a whole new level of confidence, and just says, I've been through the best. I've been through the best in the world. I've been through the American Dragon. I've been through a host of AEW stars, past and present. I've now been through the best that Japanese wrestling or New Japan Pro Wrestling can throw at me. I am untouchable. No one in the AEW roster can defeat me. No one. So obviously, man's cocky. He's basically calling everyone out, saying no one back there can beat me. No one that we've seen before, wink wink, can beat me. When suddenly we hear music that we don't recognise because we can't get the WWE license in for the same song. let's guess who it is, guys. Yes, Remy Sabai, formerly known as Sami Zayn, debuts for AEW. He comes out to a huge pop from the crowd, and dancing around, doing his thing. Hasn't trimmed his beard or cut his hair yet, and he just grabs the mic and says, MJF, maybe you're right, there is no one who was currently in AEW that could defeat you, but I'm here now, and I reckon I could. So how about it, Maxwell? Do you want to put your money where your mouth is? And just as MJF's about to respond, we hear more familiar music, and yes, it is the return of Darby Allin. Darby Allin is back from his concussion. He's been signed off. He's all good. He's ready to go, cleared by medical, and he's back. And he essentially says, Remy, nice for you to be here. Congratulations. But you're going to have to wait your turn. You're going to have to get to the back of the line, because when it comes to the AEW World Championship, I have got some unfinished business. I was screwed out of my victory. I was screwed out of winning by who I thought was my best friend. So it sounds like Darby is not happy with Sting. So yeah, I've got some unfinished business with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And MJF kind of just says, whoa, Darby and Remy. Like, he kind of says Remy in like a piss-taking way, because obviously we all know him as Sammy. He says, you're telling me that this is the competition. Remy, you're new here, welcome. But that's not how it works. You don't just call out the world champion. Darby, we've been through this too many times. I'm sick of seeing your mug. Let's just, I don't think either of you deserve a shot. And this is when good old Tony Schiavone comes out. He seems to be having more of an announcing role lately. And he says, MJF, I thought you said you were untouchable and you could beat anyone. So I've just had a word from Tony Khan that next week we are going to have a number one contenders match. And it will be Darby Allin facing, in his in-ring AEW debut, Remy Sabai. Winner will face you, MJF, at Battle of the Belts in 3 weeks' time. 3 weeks? Just under 3 weeks' time. So yeah, huge announcement here. Darby Allin, Remy Sabai. I don't know how that's gained heat with the 49 rating, but I think that's a bit broken. But yeah, big old main event. Remy straight into the title scene, and Darby Allin back, feeling good, as fit as ever, gets his chance at redemption. Will it be MJF Darby 3? We'll have to wait until next week's episode. But yeah, that is a huge match, an announcement to kick off this show. The dust has settled now. We head into our first match of the show, which is a new pairing, or should I say a new wave. Yep, it's two members of the recently created New Wave, Ricky Starks and Swerve Strickland, taking on 2.0. And in a decent match, the New Wave pick up their first win in 1348 when Swerve Strickland pins Matt Menard with the Swerve Stomp. Swerve gets a 61. Ricky Starks with a 57. Decent. Hopefully they will get better. And then Parker and Menard 61-58. So yeah, kind of equal, to be fair. And a 64 overall. I will take that. Nice. The New Wave, or 2 members of the New Wave. And following the match, we have the remaining 2 members, Mercedes Moné and Daniel Rampage Garcia. And they just kind of grab the mic and they just introduce the New Wave. They kind of say who they are, so they kind of just do a little roll call. Like, we've got Mercedes Moné, the greatest female professional wrestler in the world. We've got Daniel Garcia, the future of the wrestling business. We've got Swerve Strickland, who is also the future of the wrestling business, and Ricky Starks, who is also the future of the wrestling business. They are the New Wave because they are the new wave of talent that are going to take over AEW. And they also do a cheeky call out to the Elite saying, you guys kicked off AEW. We've got a lot of respect for you, but we don't like your attitudes. We don't like how you guys think you own the locker room. Who do you think you are, Sting? So you are the New Wave's public enemy number 1, and we're coming for you. So yeah, big statement from these 4 wrestlers, and it appears that Mercedes Moné and Daniel Garcia are maybe a little bit closer than the other 2 are with each other. There's a lot of touching, not in that way, you know what I mean, affection. There we go. 67, thought it'd be a bit better than that, but fair enough. Following this, we've got some singles action in the women's division, and it is Nyla Rose essentially ragdolling Ruby Soho for 5 minutes and then locking her into the camel clutch. Nyla Rose just completely obliterating Ruby. Poor Ruby. With a 58 rated match. Nice. Jade Cargill was ringside, and post-match gets into the ring, kind of dusts off her monster of a partner in Nyla Rose, grabs the mic and just calls out Statlander for being a coward, for not allowing a rematch, because apparently Jade Cargill wants Chris Statlander again in a TBS rematch, but Chris is refusing. These are Jade's words, not an official word from anyone else. Could just be mind games. She could just be calling out or baiting Chris. But just calling her out, saying that she's a coward, and that she's afraid to face her under normal conditions. Because, if you remember, Statlander did beat Jade Cargill in a steel cage, away from the grips of Nyla Rose. Following this, we have got some tag team action, and it is the 2/3 of the losing side of the World Trios tournament, the Best Friends facing Reynolds and Silver. So in a decent match, Best Friends defeated Reynolds and Silver in 6:44. Very quick match when Trent pins Alex Reynolds with a strong 0.63 rated match. John Silver being the best performer. Wow. Chucky T and Trent with 63 respectively. Mad, chemistries and stuff, but these 2 crazy matches in quick session didn't really work. Okay, for some reason the last 2 matches were crazy. Okay, but yeah, Trent having a really strong showing here. He seems to have a more serious demeanor at the moment, and post-match he grabs the mic and just says that he is officially challenging Jay White for the AEW International Championship, and he's bringing the title back to the Best Friends. So that, I assume, will be a match in the future. I mean, I can't imagine Jay White refusing a match against Trent, so that should be a good one. I like Trent. Let's give him a whirl at the AEW International title. After this, though, we head backstage to get Kenny Omega and Don Callis' thoughts on the New Wave. And in a average segment, Kenny's so bad on the mic. Oh, it annoys me. Kenny basically just says that the New Wave, he said they're just a bunch of, subpar to semi-decent wrestlers that are just trying to make their mark in the business. He was like, yeah, look, all respect to them to, trying to make a name for themselves, but at the end of the day, they're a poor man's elite trying too hard, and it's not going to stick. They'll be old news before they even become new news. So yeah, Kenny's like, I'm not worried, but I'm happy to be public enemy number 1 because the Elite are very much looking forward to getting their hands on every member of the New Wave. And Don Callis is kind of like, maybe not Mercedes, Kenny. And Kenny's like, everyone. And then he walks off. So, yeah, Kenny is definitely rattled by the New Wave. He's probably a little bit pissed about losing to Daniel Garcia and also being jumped by Ricky Starks and Swerve Strickland. But yeah, average segment. Kenny's terrible on the mic. I just should have the man stop talking. He should just talk with his wrestling moves and then he'll get 5 stars all round. We've got one final match before our main event, and it is another debut. It is the debut of Samantha DeMartin, which is formerly known as WWE's Indy Hartwell. Again, we can't be taking those names, so we'll be using the name that she used on the independent circuit before Indy Hartwell, which is her real name, Samantha DeMartin. And in a decent match, DeMartin defeats Thunder Rosa, and that is a big name to defeat in your debut with the big boot. So Samantha DeMartin with the 42 and Thunder Rosa with the 59. And DeMartin debuted a cocky gimmick because she's all that, and it got over as great. So a 57, pretty good showing for her first match. I took a look at her stats and they're not the best, and her popularity also is nowhere near as high as I thought it would be. But little pet project to work on because she's great. Anyone that's seen her in NXT and now I believe the main roster in WWE, she's a talent, definitely, and she's super young too, so plenty of room to grow, along with a lot of people on this roster, like Daniel Garcia, 24. Who'd have thought? I didn't. Actually, Mercedes Moné, I think he's like 31 or 32. So if they're dating, good old Daniel Garcia's got a bit of a cougar on his hands if you think about it. My guy. Anyways, yeah, great win for Samantha DeMartin. Let's head backstage where we have an interview with CM Punk. So Dasher is speaking to 100 is speaking to CM Punk, and just saying like, hey Punk, how are you feeling? What's going through your head after your loss against Kazuchika Okada at Forbidden Door? And Punk just basically says, I'm still recovering from the loss, if I'm being honest. I came back to wrestling to prove to myself that I'm the best in the world, and maybe I jumped into the deep end sooner than I should have, but it's definitely affected me, and I probably need a little bit of time to kind of recover from it. And it's making me think a lot about what it is I want out of wrestling and out of AEW. So yeah, we'll have to watch this space and see what happens. And Dasher's just about to finish off the interview when suddenly this huge figure just appears from behind Dasher and CM Punk, and it's Jordan Omos, the 7'3", I think he is, Nigerian giant, just stands over Punk looking at him, and Punk kind of just turns around, doesn't say anything, and just looks up at him, and they kind of just have a stare down for a little while. There's no smiles, there's no blinking, it's just Punk, really stretching his neck to look up at Omos, and Jordan Omos just kind of looking down at Punk as if he's, trying to figure out, who it is he's looking at. So yeah, no idea what that's about. We kind of just, Dasher just, goes, all right, we're just going to leave you guys to it. And the camera crew do the same, and they go, we've got a main event to get to. So, okay. Yeah, very strange segment. Omos just kind of staring at Punk, and Punk just staring back. Yeah, but that does take us to our main event. The Lucha Brothers defending their title for the first time against the previous champions FTR. Let's see how it goes. 77, cool. So an bout that had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, the Lucha Brothers defeat and retain against FTR in 21:46 when Rey Fenix pins Cash Wheeler with the assisted Fear Factor. And this is defense number 1 of their World Tag Team titles. Rey Fenix, of course, carried the match with an 88 performance. My boy. Penta with a 74, Dax with a 71, and Cash Wheeler with a 70. all greens, loving it. 77, still champions. Poor FTR. Let's finish the show. And we get an 83. Wow. Wow. I mean, this is a segment heavy show, but we had a lot of things that we needed to talk about, let's be honest. Yeah, awesome. Very happy with the main event. Obviously, Punk and MJF are gold. We've got the incredible spoilt debut of Remy Sabai, who's thrown straight into the deep end with a huge number one contenders match next week against Darby Allin, the returning Darby Allin. I'm sure Sting is going to be back very soon to speak to Darby, or, you know, try and get something out of him, because it doesn't seem like they've spoken. The New Wave making waves in the tag division, as well as calling out the Elite, which is a very bold move. And then we've got this weird CM Punk Jordan Omos stare down. What does that mean? CM Punk seems to be reeling from his loss to Okada, so I don't know. Has he found an enemy in Omos? Has he found a best friend? Has he found a stalker? who knows? And then the debut of so 3 debuts. Samantha DeMartin with the only in-ring debut, with a big win over Thunder Rosa. But yeah, that kind of wraps everything up. Oh, and the obvious Trent challenging Jay White. And also, will we hear from Statlander? Maybe she's off out in space somewhere. Yeah, I believe I've just recapped the entire show. We could just do that, 3-minute episodes a week where I just recap shows. But yeah, that's the end of this week's episode. We've got a huge number one contenders match announced for next week. We can also see what happens with the Combat Club. What's Brian going to do on his own? I mean, to be fair, he's probably better off on his own. Come on. Hater, is she going to respond to Britain? Hikaru? Lots of things going on. You've seen it all happen in this episode, and we'll also see what happens in next week's episode. And then the following one after that, in our week 3, will be Battle of the Belts 2. So there'll be some exciting matches there. I'm sure of it. But that's the end of this one, guys. Thank you very much. I will see you all in the next one. Bye. Yeah.